Hi, I'm Judith Marie, and we're here at Art Gallery to let me tell you a little bit about my art. Um, but I realized at the opening that I achieved the goal that I have for these pieces of work, which is for people to walk out of the exhibit smiling. And that really came through to me in this particular show because generally I have more variety of images, where here it's all based on my happy feelings about certain things that I encounter in my life, I guess. And you'll see from the exhibit that I have a special affinity for young people, teenagers, and birds, and also dessert. So if you come in here, you'll see wonderfully curated collection of the things that I hold dear. And I hope my artwork brings that sort of happiness into other people's lives as well. So the first object here is my, I forgot the name of it, contented shark. And if you get a good view of him by looking at his teeth, you'll see that he's smiling. And that was my goal. He also has a little bounce to him. And the images of sharks that I do are related to the years I spent as an emerging artist, although I don't think we ever stop feeling like we're entering a new phase of our artwork. And so the shark is connected with my, first I did a fin, and that was called Emerge, and that was a couple of decades ago, probably more. And that brought me to observing sharks more on, Shark Week on TV or whatever. I've never encountered one in real life. So they just have a positive image to me of going forward. And sharks have to go forward to breathe. So that's my analysis of that particular piece. Over here I have images of different birds. And the birds all represent a particular emotion. And I just look on the internet, although some of them I shoot while I'm watching the birds on my bird feeders. But the emotions that this particular group of birds emote are uh, surprise, gossip. This is just a pal. And this one, called Indignant, was a favorite in the show. A lot of people laughed at this one because it's not a happy bird. And it's amazing how, when you look at creatures in nature, dogs too, but birds especially, seem to have a particular look about them. And this one is just called Winter Jay, but he's all huddled up and puffed out his feathers to keep himself warm. And so that's my images of birds, and I'll continue to do them. I just enjoy their emotion, their feelings, and then hopefully when the people observe them, they come across their own feeling, or they read the label and say, "Oh, I get it." I have a couple of dessert images here. The top one is just a line of chocolates. At Christmas time in my family, we didn't have sweets a lot, and Christmas was the time to really, really fill yourself up with all kinds of candies. And I've actually drawn these images of chocolates a number of times because they're always very popular with people. And we all know that it's not a healthy food, but it brings so much delight to us. And here I have a hot fudge sundae on a bright red and white checked tablecloth with the sky and clouds behind it. And the tablecloth is supposed to represent either an old-fashioned diner or possibly one thrown over at a picnic outdoors. And that in this image would tie in with the sky behind it. I love to do clouds. If any of you have seen my previous work, they're frequently clouds. And a couple of months ago, I did a exhibit here that was all cloud sculptures, which was really fun to do. Image is from a dream that I had. I dreamt that my principal, I'm a former teacher, and my principal bought time for myself and Gloria Steinem to go up in a plane. And it was a really fun image because it was something my principal would never have done. And it just evokes freedom and fun. Again, I can't imagine myself actually flying a plane, but I can create that in my artwork. So that was really fun to do. This one is called Dancing Shoes. Um, my ex-husband and I were interested in, I don't know how we even discovered it, but we were interested in country dancing and cowboy dancing. And there's a place in town where we'd go every Saturday night. Grandma lived with us, so she would take care of the kids. And for several years, we went dancing every night. And these are actually a pair of the boots that I had. And so I have fun memories of that time. I like doing flying things. I've done quite a number of different flying animals. And this one is called Super Pup. And it's just a little doggy with his cape. And this one is called Super Goddess. And she is flying like Superman, Superwoman. And it's a fun image too that I like that I've actually repeated. I have a large one about so big that's on a stand about this high at home. And a really fun image to do again, highlighting the power of women. This is called Dinner to Go, and it's a polymer clay sculpture with a cardboard structure of it. Um, these are cat food cans. They just happen to be the right size that I could take the clay and impress the tire tread on it. It was a really, really fun fun piece to work on. It's a wolf driving a pig in his pickup truck. And the wolf is smiling and he's got his tongue lolling out. And the pig, my younger daughter called me after I sent the image to her, and she said, "Does the pig look worried?" And I said, "Yes, the pig is worried." So again, it was a fun piece to make, and I've gotten a lot of comments and appreciation of the Dinner to Go. This one is called Mountaintop Home. I've done lots of this image, this size of a house. Um, Different shows, pieces in shows. It just keeps coming back to me. And the house to me represents security, but it also is placed in different locations, sometimes on clouds, this time on top of a mountain. And to me, that's home, the ideal home. And it even has a starry sky inside of it. And it's Colorado, of course, a Colorado mountain, where I've lived happily for many years. And I really appreciate growing up. I grew up in Nebraska, and we always vacationed either Colorado or California, or sometimes both on a longer trip. And I remember as a kid, I always would be turned around in the back seat looking out the back window until I couldn't see the mountains anymore. And all those years led me to feel like Colorado was really my home as opposed to Nebraska. And I eventually got here and have loved every minute of it since. This guy is a former pet of mine, so he's much loved. And again, with dogs, I've done quite a few dog portraits for people, and the dogs always seem to have a particular expression about them. You know, they're quiet and lazy, sleepy. This one happens to be a really perky little Yorkie, and he always had almost like a smile on his face. And he was a companion to me and funny little dog that brought me lots of joy and pleasure having him around. And I think that knowing my daughter's different dogs they've had and current dogs, But dogs have a personality too. They, like I said, some are sleepy and some are really aggressive and some are, like this one, very playful. And I think that's a really positive quality of a companion that you have with you for many years generally. And this one's got a real glint in his eye. He's always looks very perky, ready to run, ready to go. These are a couple of teenagers. When I was teaching high school, um, I had a wonderful experience. I taught in Harrison District for 10 years, working with high school students, and I always appreciated the beauty of children yet at that age. Those who are in high school are usually 14 to 18, and they're going through a difficult time in their lives, and they have very different expressions and moods, I would say. And these two girls, I sometimes, just like the birds, I am taken by an image that I see on the internet. And once I check to make sure it's not copyrighted, then I'll use that as a source for the drawing. And then I make adjustments as I see fit to make the image's expression do what I want it to do. I love drawing. I can't remember when I didn't draw. Um, when I was little, I had what it was called a Big Chief tablet, and it was about so big, a lined tablet that most kids had at school. And also, my parents bought me a special one that I could draw in. And I always had just a pencil and the paper to work with. I had my first art class when I was in high school and had already learned myself, self-taught, many of the skills that I would need to do the art that I did in my future. And so pencil, for me, graphite is still the most pleasurable thing to work on. It's less complicated than other media, but you can just do all kinds of really miraculous things with it. This girl is, the title of this is Wind, and I saw something a little bit like this, but I added lots of hair. And hair is especially fun thing to draw. It's not complicated. It takes lots of time, but changing the pressure on your pencil creates lots of different thicknesses, darknesses. The values are very different, and you can build it up or do it really lightly. And in both of these cases, that that's a thoroughly pleasurable thing to do, very relaxing, as long as the drawing is going the way you wish it to. This piece, another dessert item. I had gone to my older daughter's a doctor in San Francisco, and when I spend time with her, we always go to SF MoMA, which is a big contemporary art gallery in downtown San Francisco. And that's our favorite trip to take together. She's very art interested, even majored in art in college, and something that we share. And it was a Magritte show, and most of you probably have to look up this artist, but you will see images like his around in advertising and all kinds of places because he had a specific subject matter and specific thing that there are lots of clouds in his artwork, and that may be where my first appreciation of clouds in art came from. And he does these very large paintings of, of rocks, big boulders. Like if you see one of them, you just imagine it to be the size of things in Garden of the Gods, for example. And not quite sure why, but while we were at that exhibit, I thought, well, I love ice cream, and I think when I get home, I'm going to do a drawing like the big rocks, only it's going to be an ice cream cone floating in front of the clouds in the sky. And it was fun. There was a gentleman at the opening the other night who kept looking at the cone very closely, and he kept saying, "How do you do that? How do you do that?" Drawing is just a matter of putting lines of color or in the with graphite, grays and blacks on paper. It's time consuming, but it's not particularly complicated other than getting your image to be represent what you're actually looking at. Or um, I don't know what I looked at for this. Many different photos on the internet, I think. So it's called Magritte's ice cream cone, and it's been one of my favorites to do and to have to look at. And even if it's gone from me, I have photos of it, and I pretty much can remember all the images that I've done in my head as well. These are ceramic pieces. The others, well, this one's ceramic too, but the other ones, the smaller ones, are made with a polymer clay that does not require to be fired. And instead, I just have a big toaster oven in my studio, and I fire them. You only go to 250 degrees, and it's quicker and cleaner. But I always go back to using um, regular ceramic clay as well. I first got acquainted with it in college and loved the media. Did not like throwing on the wheel, did not make anything functional unless it was required, but I definitely fell in love with the idea of sculpting in clay. This piece, this twisted house, has a tornado coming out of the chimney, as these have tornadoes as well. Tornado, like the shark, is another image, and the house that I've done repeatedly. It has the meaning to me of uh, adversity, I guess, risk, and things not going your way. So this little woman is called Trouble Coming in Threes, and she has three little different tornadoes pulling on her, and she just represents those times when you're overwhelmed, when you have way more to do than you think you can possibly do, or you don't feel competent to do the task ahead of you. This one is called Decision, and each of the little doors, there are four doors on each side at the bottom here of the house. They're numbered 1, 2, 3, and then question mark. And when you're faced with large choices or decisions in your life, it can be hard to decide, and it's a challenge. Therefore, you have the adversity here of the choice. But hopefully, when you can come to the decision, it's something that you're happy with. The last one here is called Brainstorm. I've done lots of these figures with tornado um, hair hair accessories almost. Um, and again, what I hope to see, now this one's not looking too happy here, and this one's looking like, oh my gosh. And at first, when I was making, usually the tornado is an image of a problem. In this case, to me, the tornado is the image of inspiration, of having one of those aha moments when you just know that your decision is the right decision, you're happy with the way things are going, you're instead of being shocked, I mean, she could look shocked as well, but she's thinking, oh my gosh, this is the greatest thing. And that is her vision of this tornado. So that's it. Thanks for the opportunity.